Well, a lot is going on in my world. So my background is media, and but I'm passionate about women, and I've been working, coming up with women projects and working with different stakeholders across Africa to support women programs for years. But what's exciting is a platform that we are currently rolling out in partnership with SADC Women in Business, which we announced our partnership earlier today. I mean, when we talk about women in Africa, one of the key challenges is access to finance. And we're seeing a lot of people and a lot of stakeholders looking into solving these issues, making sure that more women have access to finances. Over 80% of bankable women population are underbanked. And the only way they access financial services is through what we call community savings groups, where a group of women or a group of people meet, they save weekly or monthly, and when they have enough money on the pot, they lend to each other. So if we are talking about 80% of bankable population in Africa not being banked, and this is the only way that they access financial services. And over the years, this system has been around. It's sustained these communities, but it's not transformed them. So this is a huge, huge gap and missed opportunity. And that is where the challenge or the opportunity for what we're doing is. So we're rolling out a platform called eCOBBA, which is pretty much digitizing and banking the underbanked in Africa using this model of community savings group that has existed for years, but there is no data anywhere. So what we want to do is to capture the data, structure it, and use basic AI modules to create relevant credit scoring that will not only provide digital identities for the women and the people who will use the platform, but also give them a credit score that can be used to bring in other financial services to bring in value into the economy. But also, I mean, we're talking about 80% of the population, right? Which means the amount of transactions that are happening in community savings groups in real time are so many, so again, using AI modules to make this in real time and make quick decisions that will allow for these transactions to happen using this basic credit scoring that, is on the platform, understanding patterns and use cases so that we can bring in more value, including increasing productivity, because this underbanked population is in the informal sector. So how can we use this technology to improve productivity and ultimately industrialize using the same economy? So that is eCOBBA, and we're currently rolling it out in key markets in Africa. And yeah, we're very excited about it, Richard.
Wonderful. So do shout out when you've got questions that either you want to ask directly or you want me to voice for you to Irene at the time that we've got. We've got about 14 minutes of special time now with Irene, but let's set the scene first here. Africa is obviously a continent, so in some senses it's wrong to talk about Africa. So, I mean, if somebody visited Europe, I think they get a pretty different story in the Nordics, in Lithuania, in UK. It'd be totally different, of course, we know that. But there are some themes, aren't there? So it's looking like it'll be a very young population across Africa. Nima Pasha was telling me that I think the average age is about 19. That was some of her research. So very, very young. And that brings with it very different perspectives. There's a whole load of connectivity going on. There's a lot of money flowing in. Now, I know that money isn't flowing necessarily where we need it just yet, but it is flowing. And so this is going to be a continent that attacks and approaches AI in a different way, isn't it? There's going to be so many lessons to be learned and so many barriers broken down, it feels like. Is that how you see it, or something slightly different?
Absolutely, that's exactly where the opportunity is. Yes, we are a young continent. The average age is 19, but very soon we will be one of the largest, if not the largest continent, in 25 years or so. So, but what we have is, so the youth as a resource, but also an opportunity to leapfrog a lot of the things that, are probably a challenge to implement in other markets. And the power is in the mobile phone, which, in Africa, is said more people have access to the mobile phone than they have access to clean water. Yeah, so it is a huge opportunity, but the issue is first, how do we put the right infrastructures, systems, policies, and regulation to make sure that, we have the right tools to capture the right data, and how this is used to solve some of the issues that are affecting the continent.
But what about the perspective and the mindset? I mean, Daniel's already raised all these existential concerns that some of us have about AI. Now, I don't think it's healthy to focus on them all the time, but it is healthy to be aware of them and refer to them. What's that like in Africa? Are people keen to adopt AI, or is there some reluctance around the future of work and jobs and empowerment? What's the attitude towards the technology that you've been experiencing?
So I think it's very greenfield. So it's still very early days where a lot of people are trying to understand what it is and what it can do. But what is unique about the continent is we are a very optimistic group of people, and we want to solve our issues. And if AI could be used to solve those issues, there won't be a challenge in adopting. But because it's still very early days, so there's a lot of education that needs to happen, and there's a lot of partnerships that needs to take place, and we have an opportunity to put the right structures, the right policies, the right guidelines, so that is what the situation is on the ground.
One example I heard of leapfrogging recently was I was talking to Celine Lee. She's been on the podcast. She runs Zindi, which is a crowdsourced competition platform based out of Cape Town. And she gave this wonderful example of how one of the ladies on the platform was based in Ethiopia, I think, and she'll correct me if it wasn't correct, and therefore was had to be quite careful around how much data was being used, some of the challenges around electricity. And so the AI solution that she produced, the finessing of it was incredible. It was like art because she did it with the minimal resources. And I think she beat off a couple of guys from Russia who you could see were just using brute force models and probably some auto ML to achieve the same results. But she clearly did it with far less time and resources to achieve the same goal. And I thought that's a great example of leapfrogging some of the mindset around developing models. Have you got some other examples about leapfrogging?
Yes, I mean, sorry, one of our best case is the case of mobile money, for example, and what is done to the continent, yeah? So when mobile money was launched in East Africa, yeah, a lot of people were skeptical about it, but it's created more opportunities than challenges, so we have more agencies, more people are able to create wealth by becoming mobile money agents, with interoperability and remittance of money. It's really revitalized the entire economy. And a lot of the solutions that we have are based around that, the mobile phone, mobile money, so there is so much that we can do around it. Even with eCOBBA, the platform that we're launching, it's, the savings are done through mobile money, so a group of people from wherever they are in remote areas where, they can use a mobile phone that does not necessarily need internet for connectivity are still able to save within a portal or access finance or, access all these different things. So there's massive opportunities, and mobile money has created such an amazing roadmap or road that we can build on and create a lot of different layers around it in various sectors.
What a fantastic example. I can see Bridget's put a few questions up here that I'm happy to read out, but if she wants to pop her camera up as I start and do it herself, then that would be even better. There's the pregnant pause. So 2 seconds, we can wait. You don't need to put your camera on, but we can hear your voice perhaps.
Hello, I didn't have my headphones in, sorry. Hi Irene, how are you?
Hi, Phoebe, how are you?
I'm very well indeed, thank you. I love, since I've discovered you, I'm loving learning about what you're doing. Well, my question to you was around the empowerment. It was really interesting the way that you phrased that there's a lot of peer-to-peer localized savings in communities, which has helped to give stability but not growth. When it comes to the unbanked, there's a lot of people trying to look at this problem now that we've got sort of peer-to-peer finance in terms of the blockchain world and cryptocurrencies. And I know of a number of people who are running initiatives that are looking to sort of help these people to get onto having a credit system and get into a financial system. So my question to you is what you're doing, are you looking to partner up with these types of initiatives? Or are you looking to run yours? And
so no, we are open to partnerships, and because the way we have built our platform, yeah, so it you know, beyond the savings and the lending that can be done on the platform, there's also a marketplace, you know, because, you know, like I said initially, we're trying to solve the issue of creating more productivity for the informal sector. So they're saving, they're lending each other, they can sell products on the platform, and, you know, we're adding a lot of different elements that, you know, create a big opportunity for tokenization and building a token economy that is based around real-time activities and transactions. And yeah, we are constantly open to partnering and talking to other people in the space to see how we can create more value. What we have built is a platform that can be plugged into various portals of various stakeholders. You know, so banks can plug in, microfinances can plug in, other tech products can plug in. You know, so we want to build an ecosystem or for financial inclusion, you know, for the economy of the people that we're working to impact.
And would that include the credit scoring system? So if you've got a credit scoring system for example, I put in the chat that BitLumens is run by Veronica Garcia. She is looking to be able to deliver green energy to particularly female farmers, because the cost of energy in the rural areas is significantly higher than in urban areas across, and particularly in Africa, she was talking to me about. So she's giving them some solar powered devices, they're buying them, they're paying them back over a certain number of months. And then there's a record that they've got a credit history. So if you're also doing other things that show that people have a credit history, I'm just wondering whether the ways that those could be amalgamated.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, cool. Well, I'll look to connect you now. I won't take up any more of your time.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Somebody asked, Africa is huge. Is there any country in Africa they focus on? So we are starting with East Africa, so Tanzania, Kenya, Uganda, Zambia, Swaziland, and Nigeria. So those are the markets that we are going out for in the first phase, and looking to scale from there. But like I said, you know, the great thing about Africa is partnerships, and, you know, you have people in different markets that you're able to partner with quickly. And that's a model that a lot of us are utilizing to reach the scales that are needed and be more efficient. And of course, to solve the issue of access to finance, yeah? So partnerships does help with that.
It's huge, it's huge. John, do you want to say hello?
Hi, Irene.
Hi.
Just a quick question for you, which I kind of think is important. I mean, how do you think AI is going to help with credit score for the informal sector? And what does that mean for creating a digital identity for them?
Sorry, John, can you come again?
So the question is, how do you think AI will be important for creating a digital credit score for the informal sector?
Yes.
And what does that mean for them from a financial inclusion perspective to creating digital identity?
Okay, so back to what I said earlier, yeah? So we're looking, let's focus on this 80% population that is underbanked, is in the informal sector, who don't have access to formal financial services. And I'll give you a story of my mom, for example, who has been a member of very many community savings groups for over 15 years. She's been maybe in over 50 of them, yeah? Because most times people are in multi-groups. And up until she's managed to take care of her family and, you know, deal with all the things that she needed to deal with through these community savings groups, up until 5 years ago, when she had an opportunity to launch a catering business that would have taken her from the informal sector to the formal sector, and she needed a certain amount of money to launch that business. She couldn't get access to finance. She went to all the banks that she could get access to, and they told her that they don't know her, they don't recognize her, they don't have any, they cannot give her the money. She went to all her community savings groups, but the money that she needed was not sufficient, so they couldn't help her, even though, she's been a great savings person. So in the end, we had to come in and chip in, and that is when I realized what a great big problem that was, and what a great opportunity it created, and that's how I got to start building this. But so imagine if we had all the records, all the transactions, everything she's done in the last 15 years across these different savings groups that she's been a part of, and what that would have meant, And when we're talking about credit scoring, the current credit score that is given by formal banks, it's really not reflective of the reality of the people in the informal sector. Yeah, so we are able to use AI to create a credit score that is relevant, that is based around real use cases and patterns, and by doing that, we can bring in formal financing to say, look at Irene's mom. She's been a member of this group for 5 years. This is, her credit score. This is all the transactions. This is how she's been saving. Can you add more money into her group so the women in that group can access more financing? So that is one. And also, again, digital identity, the different things that can be added as value to the women groups who currently are not formally recognized anywhere. They only have their probably national IDs, and they cannot get value. They cannot get insurances, they cannot get all these different things that are important to create wealth for themselves, So the digital identity issue that we will be solving, the credit scoring that we'll be creating, and an opportunity to bring in other partners to add value into that community, and what that will mean to the different businesses. And these women and these groups are now able to see each other on the platform, with trends and patterns. We're able to predict more modules, and to see how we can bring in more support. We're able to see the interactions on the market space, who needs what's the demand, what's the, where the gaps are, and how we can add value around that.